Welcome to Sister Friends. I'm Angie Gray here with my amazing friend,
ReShonda Young.
and together we're diving into what's at the heart of it all, relationships.
From finances and family to the ups and downs of life partnerships, and even those relationships we have with ourselves, we're here to talk about the real stuff.
We're not shying away from the hard conversations, we're leaning into them because we believe that when we start talking, we start understanding.
And when we understand, we grow in empathy, compassion, and connection.
So grab a seat,
Grab a friend, and let's
get into it. Hi, guys. I'm Angie,
And I'm ReShonda.
and we are
Sister Friends.
friends. And this is the first time we've recorded when we're not in the same room. ReShonda's in Florida. She is doing a little wellness retreat, which is super cool. I'm going to let her tell you all about it here. ReShonda and I, like we were just talking about, it's pretty cool that we get this opportunity because both of us are really passionate about prevention education. I got to do that for several years, and go travel and talk about it for years. And ReShonda's always been passionate about it. You've done coaching, I've done coaching. And there's the place that I've been to is called Sana Vive, but the place you're at in, you just go from here and tell us.
It's in West Palm Beach, Florida. It's called Hippocrates Health and Wellness Institute.
So cool. Tell us everything, please.
Yeah. So Hippocrates has been here for the last 70 years, and they are really focused on like a holistic approach to wellness. And so there's some people who literally come just for the day. I was in line for lunch, I think Friday, and I was talking to a lady and she's like, yeah, I come here and grab my lunch every day. I've been doing it for like the last 15 years. I'm like, what? I know, right? Whenever she's in town, because she travels for work too, but she's like, yeah, I've been doing it for the last 15 years. So there are people who may just come for a day for lunch. There might be people who come for a day just for various therapies or massages. People might come for a week just to do a reset. So I've met a lot of people who come just like for this 1 week reset, like after the holidays, just trying to clean their systems up and out.
Yep.
There are people who stay for 2 weeks. 3 weeks is probably the most popular program. That is called the Life Transformation Program, or the LTP program. And that program, it allows a person to have various therapies that are done that are not just physical therapies, but mental and emotional work as well. So when you get here, you are assigned a counselor to make sure that your mental well-being is in check as well, because they really emphasize how important stress reduction is.
Yeah.
And identifying areas in your life where stress might just be the thing that's kicking your body into illness or disease.
Yep.
And so there's that. And then they have also a 4-week program. And so that program is their comprehensive cancer wellness program. And so you've got people, and then you have people who literally just come and they don't have necessarily a time when they're like, oh yeah, I'm only going to stay for this 3-week or 4-week program. So one of the ladies, Jeanette, she's like 83 or 84 years old, this incredible human being. And I think this is week 9 that she's been here.
She's hanging out.
Yeah. So
Nice.
she's like, yeah, I'll leave whenever. And then Irene, who I really, really hope we're able to introduce to everyone in the coming weeks. She is doing a 3-month stint here. And just a little preview on Irene. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be able to feature her. But she has had stage 4, terminal cancers. 4 years ago, the doctors expected her not to be here. Not just here, but like alive. And so she is defying all the odds, and she's doing a 3-week program, or not 3-week, a 3-month program right now. And she is absolutely like marvelous. She's doing so much better. There were people who saw her here in November. So she decided this 3 month program starting in January. The people who I met who saw her here when she came in November, and she couldn't even walk. And they're like super amazed. I mean, she's starting to work out and lift weights and just really rebuild her body. So it's just been an incredible experience. There's so much education around health, mind, body, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been awesome.
It looks so awesome, and it's been so awesome to talk to you during your experience. And every time you're sending me pictures, ReShonda sends me pictures in the morning, and she just says she not look like she's 16. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, first of all, also you could have been like just an ad for Hippocrates, so we should probably send this to them because if they're you, that was like everybody listening wants to go. And so here's what I think is really fun about this episode and what's happened for us and our relationship over the last several weeks is we've just had opportunity to start talking a little bit more about really the subject matter that brought us together when I was working with USANA full time, prevention education, doing seminars and speaking, and you had Popcorn Heaven, but you were that's a whole nother thing. And you were struggling with being at Popcorn Heaven because of all the sugars and stuff that was in that popcorn and stuff.
Colors and the fats.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
all of that, but it's fun to be coming full circle sort of back to that. Not that it ever left, but
yeah,
I'm so passionate about it also, and you're so brilliant. ReShonda, if you guys don't already know this about her, she is a researcher, like she is a she is right. I mean, you're somebody really to have in your corner as far as research. You know so much about it. I know you love researching.
I do. I love it.
Fun. Yeah, and it's just fun to be back and talking about it. I'm 57. You're getting ready to turn 50. When's your birthday?
I know. March 23rd,
That's right.
323.
I know. Oh my gosh. So
Yes.
Shauna's got a big 50 birthday. I'm 57. I'll be 58 this year. And I'm super grateful that I have been mindful of prevention for a long time. Not to say that I have been perfect in any way, but I feel like I'm very fortunate to have stumbled into this prevention education sort of thing. Now it's been Christian's 20, going to be 30, so almost 29 years ago, we started
Yeah.
on that road of education. And really, both Todd and I have always been very interested in and passionate about sharing with other people. And I know you have too. So
Yeah.
it's cool that you're back there and sort of reigniting it, and we get to talk about it here.
Yeah.
Um, well, tell me, like from there, I want to know everything because this is the first full conversation we've had about your experience there.
It is.
Um, what has it sort of fired you up about again, like refired up for you?
Yeah. So, you know, I push so hard. Like I push so hard. And gosh, back in my 20s, I decided like every year that I need at least one, probably two good vacations away from home because a staycation does not work for me.
Mm,
Um, as long as I'm at home, I'm working.
mm,
Even if I say I'm not, I am. And so I really I needed to get away and I needed to really focus on my health, um, wearing my body down and, just I feel like I have probably more energy than the average person in general. And I was starting almost to feel like just kind of with all of life's things going on, that my energy level was probably at what would be average, which for me feels crappy. Um, I yeah, and then just some health things that I wanted to address, and I've been seeing the functional medicine people
yes,
um,
yes.
in Waterloo, Dr. Violet Hunter and Megan, and so yeah, just going to see them, and they are incredible, so wonderful.
Well,
And
I want to interrupt you because I want to go back
Mhm.
to you said that you push so hard, and so I want to clarify to our audience what you mean by that. I want to clarify, and then you can
Yeah,
correct me. What I know
okay,
is true about you is that you do push so hard. You have so many wonderful things that you are a part of. You are a servant of our community. You are a yes sayer. Like, so our last episode that we just put out this last Monday, you talked about that being one of the things that you wanted to work on is saying no.
Hmm.
I know you, and for many of us, that is a really hard thing to do, but you are such a servant of people, of our community. You have been responsible for so many amazing initiatives in our community that have been so successful, and they're like your babies that you help birth, and it's hard. I watched it be hard for you. Now this is like surprisingly, this is bring up emotion in me because it's hard as a friend to know when to or if to say anything, like
Right.
honestly, that was really not that I was like worried, but I definitely thought, girl, you're burning the candle at both ends, but actually I didn't really know because you're a single woman, but then I'm like, so what? Because you're like taking care of, you're your mom's person, you're the boys, your two nephews, you've got the bank, you've got, the small business stuff, you're just a coach, you're just so many amazing things. So all that to say, yeah, you do push hard, and you're successful at it, hi person in the background. Anyway, you do push really hard. And what happens, I mean, I know that like on my side of it, knowing that, you're this beautiful human being of faith, like, and I know also when I would say things to you, you'd be like, yeah, yep, I'm good, because you're also not the person that's going to take a hot second to say, actually, I'm not good, because you have such
Right.
a mindset. So
Yeah.
there's all of that happening. And I wanted to just point that out, what that meant to go, I go hard, because so many people go hard. And the big thing that I taught when that was the focus of my work in prevention education was that stress is the number one cause of degenerative disease.
It is.
Yep.
It
So
absolutely is.
over.
And lack of sleep. I mean, I would be so focused on, okay, this person needs this. Okay, all right, let me just do it. Knowing that I have a bundle of things I need to get done, and I would slip their stuff in. And that means that I'm up until 1 or 2 in the morning. And then I'm also a morning person. So
Yeah.
even though I may be up till 1 or 2, my body is up and ready to go at like 6:30. And so then, I mean, the middle of the day gets a little weird because I'm tired then, but I don't have time to stop. And so you just keep pushing. And for me, especially with backing off on caffeine, um, a lot of times that meant, and it being cold. So if it were nice, like if it were warm out, I'd just go outside and take a spin around the block. But when it's cold and I'm sleepy and there's no caffeine, it means I'm snacking. Now, the snacks might be healthy snacks, but I'm consuming probably more than I should be simply because I'm tired, which is typical for people. You're tired and you eat to keep awake. So,
Sure.
anyway, yeah,
And I mean, we're kind of picking on you. Maybe this will end up being a ReShonda interview, but I just think because you're there, it's so important to be talking about this. And if you're open to talking a little bit about it, you don't have to be specific, but over the last couple of years, you've had an incredible amount of extra stress in your life, not just the stress that you create or allow to be in your life. And I'm not picking on you. I mean, I am 100% not. I have my things,
you
so
are good. You are good. I
grab the
mean,
plank in my eye anytime you want.
no, you're good because I'm the one sitting here in West Palm Beach, Florida, at the Hippocrates Wellness Institute, like loving every second of this. But I'm here because I need a reset. I needed to focus on me and me being well. And I had neglected myself, not just for the past year, but I would literally say for the past 10 years.
I would say
I've
that.
neglected me.
I mean, just think
Um,
with Popcorn Heaven, you had that business and all the things stressed with that when that wasn't the only thing you were doing. Let's go back. Let's review. Can we? Can
yeah.
we review, with whatever you're comfortable sharing, can we review like what are some of the things that have happened over the last 10 years that you know, it's not like you're intentionally going, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to that. You were doing the best that you felt you could do, right?
And there were times where, especially during my popcorn heaven days, where especially like when we had the store downtown Waterloo, we were open in
Popcorn
the
Heaven is a popcorn store that ReShonda
yes.
owned a chain of popcorn stores. Okay, just want to clarify that.
And so we were open in downtown Waterloo. We also then were open at the Crossroads Mall in Waterloo. And then we had a location in the Coral Ridge Mall, which was like, I don't know, hour and 15 minutes away. And so, and then of course there were the locations that were in other states or Des Moines or whatever. But those three were ones that I'm personally running that were not licensed. And I remember days where I would be so tired, but I needed to get popcorn down to the Coralville store. And so I consciously was saying, I have to eat to stay awake. Otherwise I'm going to probably fall asleep at the wheel and hurt myself and or someone else. And a lot of times I'm on a time, like, I'm on a schedule. So I didn't have time to stop, but sometimes I did have time to stop. And I generally would pull into either a church parking lot or a gas station parking lot. And I would take like a 15 or 20-minute nap.
Mm.
But I would just consciously be eating. And I'm like, you are absolutely ruining your body right now as you do all of this. And you know it, like you're putting on weight, you are ruining your body, but you don't want to have an accident, you know. Um, it was really hard. It was a lot. Um,
Well, then you have okay. So then like hit the biggies, I guess. So that was big. I know this. I'm remembering this, and it's interesting. When you're done sharing these, I will share sort of where I was at because we always find that we have some sort of similarity. We don't even know that we're going through the same sort of things on our journey.
mhm.
What are the other sort of main points that you can go, okay, that was happening, and then this happened, timeline wise?
Yeah, so there was that. Then there was, the whole thing with that came shortly after me selling Popcorn Heaven with the bank that was discriminating and like this whole, 16-month ordeal where they did everything in their power to try and make my life like to try and destroy my life, really. It was really stressful. So that was 2019, 2020. And then, yeah, of course, you've got COVID in there, which is stress for everybody. And then with COVID, I ended up getting blood clots. So I got blood clots in my legs. Um, Thankfully, they were superficial and not deep vein. But still, I mean, I still have the marks on my legs from those blood clots and what they did. And I mean, it was just, and it wasn't like, something that just popped up and then it was gone in a couple of days. I mean, I suffered with those for many, many, many months. Like to the point where I couldn't shave my legs and I couldn't stand for anything to touch them. I couldn't even stand for the wind to blow on my legs and hit the hairs that I couldn't shave because they were so painful. But with all of that, I continued to work, and continued to do all the things that I do. I mean, what do you do? Just, I mean, I'm sure people will say you stopped. Maybe that's what a logical person would do, but I
Well,
did it.
yeah. Okay, keep going because I have questions.
Yep. And then, as you know, ended up, going to the doctor, had a bunch of deficiencies, and it wasn't that I wasn't a clean eater. Um, I didn't, my body just was not absorbing the nutrients. And there could be many reasons why that's the case. It could be a gut issue where like you're just not able to absorb because you've got gut issues. It could be that the foods you're not preparing them in a way that they're bioavailable. So that your body can't actually use them. There are many reasons why that can happen. But as you know, the doctor wants to give me a blood transfusion. Like, ReShonda, you're going to die if you don't do this. Like, you could die if you don't do this. And I'm like, okay, not trying to be smart, but we're all going to die at some point. And you're telling me that what you're going to give me is going to make me like it's going to mess my stomach up even more, like the medication that they wanted to give me. Um, the blood transfusion, I just was not feeling that. And so just changed a whole lot of things. And thankfully, I did not need the blood transfusion. I did not take the medication that was going to mess my gut up even more. So had worked with Marilyn over at T&K Health Store in Waterloo, and she was amazing at helping me get my body healthier and out of the danger zone at that point. And that was in 2022. And then in 2023, you know, the deaths that I walked through, you know, 3 deaths in 6 months, caregiving and continuing to work the whole time. You know, you still have all these projects, all these things. And I don't think I did a bad job of processing the grief, um, but I could have done probably better. And that better for me, like for me to sit at home and just like, I don't know, I don't know what I would do. I don't sit at home, you
Yeah.
know, but maybe coming to Hippocrates um, in 2024 would have been a really good idea. So, you know, with Will passing in June of 23, and then my dad being our stepdad, for those who know my biological dad, and they're thinking, what happened? So, with my stepdad getting sick in June of 2023, and then passing in November, but it wasn't just he got sick and he passed. It's like he got sick, and then I'm working full time plus full time, and I'm taking him to Iowa City, an hour and 15 minutes or however long
He
to
was
the
also
appointment.
in your house, and he was also in your house in the last days,
In
right?
the last 6 weeks, then we also did in-home hospice care at my house. So during the day I'd be upstairs working, and then at night, to give my mom a break and let her sleep, I would come downstairs and I would watch over him at night. And he didn't sleep very well at night, so he would keep me up half the night, and then the next day starts. And then at his funeral, having my uncle passed at the funeral, it's just like trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma.
So,
And
so let's just pause for a second. So Will, who's your partner for a long time, dies
yep.
shortly after that, within how many months?
Well, and then remember too, because you were there with us with my mom, Will passed on a Thursday night, and
Yep.
my mom is in the hospital
Yep.
fighting for her life basically on that Sunday right afterwards. And as I'm reading her my chart, as I should not have been reading, as I'm speeding to the hospital, but I'm reading the my chart, and it says patient presents with deterioration of life, is what I was reading. And I'm like, oh God, like I can't. You said you would not give us more than what we can bear, and I can't bear this. So there was that. And then, then with my stepdad getting the diagnosis, and my mom, with AFib and congestive heart failure, and really just trying to do all that I could for them while still, planning Will's his funeral, and all the things that went along with that. It was a lot. It was very difficult. And the projects that I had, they didn't stop. Nothing stopped.
And when I'm hearing you talk about this, okay, so Will died unexpectedly, tragically. The next weekend, your mom gets very, very sick, and we had no
Like
answer.
3 days later.
3 days later, no real answers for that. Shortly after that, your stepdad is very sick. You're taking care of him at the house. He eventually dies. At the funeral, you just kind of blew by that, but at the funeral, your stepdad's funeral, your uncle, who you loved very much, got up and spoke and went down.
You were there. You were there
Yes.
with us.
Yep. And as soon as he sat down, within 5 minutes, he had a massive heart attack and died.
Hmm.
And like you said, all of this stuff was going on, not only all of those outside things and your work, but you also had your own health things that you were still trying to figure out, right? Because you had
Right.
the, the blood clots, but there were what else was it? I don't even remember. It was so many things. Your periods were super heavy,
With the
right?
fibroids, right? Yep.
Trying to figure
That
out.
was a major problem.
Yeah. And you do not, so okay, so all of this stress, and I know that you were doing the best that you could, like I think we do, right? It's like you're in survival mode and you're this strong, independent woman that is used to, like, I'm thinking about the interviews that we did when we interviewed each other, and you know, from such an early age, you're a very determined person. Hard work does not, you do not shy away from,
No.
you're a very determined person. And so you have all this mix, this cocktail of things that are happening, and you're determined, I can do it. And you're also this woman of faith. And that's what I keep thinking about, like you're doing the best that you could do, and you're praying about it, obviously, too, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's just interesting that sometimes I know for me, then God is just like, okay, well, you're gonna take a break. However that
Right.
looks. He has his ways of going, okay, now you're gonna take a break. Love ya.
Yeah.
Trying to give you all these little nudges here and there and all the places, but we're gonna take a break now. Um, I just think it's so relatable, your story. Not everybody has the lineup of, tragedy and hardship and stuff, but a lot of people do. And
A
I think,
lot of people do.
yeah,
And I'm finding that here talking to people.
I bet, and so that's probably comforting in many ways to know that, because you could very easily slide into, wow, this is happening to me. And so then there's that struggle of not wanting to be the victim, knowing that God is good, and yet I'm still experiencing these things. So coming back to the prevention piece of it, like, life is life, man. And if we don't, like, it's gonna show up. We're gonna need, the help of nurses and doctors, and each other as families at some point in our lives. And the better we take care of ourselves, the better we're going to be able to manage when those times come up. And so coming back full circle, like, you were trying to do those things, yet stress was still there. So it's like, how lucky you are that you knew the things that you knew, so that now, like, I'm just doing a terrible job of bringing to the point that now you were taking care of yourself the best that you could. Like, you were eating vegan, you thought that was the way to go. You're so smart, you're researching everything, doing the best you can to take care of yourself. And now you are at Hippocrates, really diving in and really taking care of yourself. And what if you weren't? Like, I'm going to share a quick story. So TJ is our oldest son, and he is a PA, and he does cardiac surgery. And I was just talking to him the other day, and he gave me permission to share this story. But he had this patient that they worked on for a long time. He was a pretty tough case, and the patient then was in the hospital, and I'm probably going to botch the actual facts, but the general story is the patient ended up staying like 60 days in the hospital in ICU until they got him to a place where he could go home. And he had to transition into like a skilled nursing facility there where TJ lives. And he ended up being in the skilled nursing facility for a little bit and then coming back to the care of TJ and his team, and he was in worse condition than when they sent him there. And
Wow.
so TJ went above and beyond and went to this skilled nursing facility and said, hey, which was way above and beyond. Doctors don't often go, and I mean, maybe they do, but TJ did. And he
Yeah.
went to the skilled nursing facility and talked to the nurse or whoever was in charge there and said, listen, we took great care of this patient. He's really worked hard at getting better. We got him to a place where he was stable and doing well, and sent him to you. And then just very short period of time later, he comes back to us and he's doing terrible again. And he advocated for this patient. And so that was really cool. And I believe the patient is doing well now. And the patient saw that Dr. TJ advocated for him. So what a cool experience. And I share that because I really think it's important for us to tell people that don't count on your healthcare providers because I
Yeah.
have a nursing background and I work with nurse leaders every day and nurses, and they tell you the same thing, man. Don't count on your doctors and your hospitals that they're going to take care of you. You have to be proactive in your own health. You have to be able
Yeah.
to, you know, look at the big things. You don't have to go to Hippocrates. We wish
Mhm.
everybody could. You don't have to go to Hippocrates or San Aviv, the one that I'm familiar with and have gone to in Baja, Mexico. But what can we do here to be aware of the stress and to take care of our stress? Um,
Right.
you know, so talk to that. Like, I think, in the short time that we have to talk about it today, we're going to talk to Dr. Hunter. She's going to come on, who's a functional
Hmm.
medicine doctor here. She's agreed, and Megan to come on be guests. We're going to talk to um, Irene, right?
Irene, yes.
Who I haven't met yet, and a couple of other friends that Rashawn has met at Hippocrates in the very near future. But for you and I, like, what would you say is really important for people to know, and especially in pairing with what you've learned at Hippocrates? What are some general things that we can say we would encourage people to focus on?
Yeah. So, we have lectures all the time. And so I was in one today with Brian Clement, and Brian is one of the co-directors. He and his wife, Anne Maria Clement, co-direct this facility. And in his lecture this morning, he was talking about one, how we have to look at nutrition and we have to look at where our nutrition is now and where it was at like 50 years ago. All the things that have been introduced and things that our bodies were not made for. um, and so, like, understanding nutrition and understanding that doctors do what they can. They do what they know to do, but they're not given very much training at all in nutrition. And that's something you probably know much better than I do, being in the field. So that's one. But the most important thing that he talked about was finding your passion and your purpose.
Mm,
So what are you passionate about in life, and what gives you purpose for being here? And it shouldn't be something like, well, I'm passionate about my kids. Yeah, like everybody
yeah,
mostly is passionate about their kids. What's something more that you're really passionate about? Is there something that helps you to feel, you know, like you're adding value to the world
yeah,
around
yeah,
you? And
perfect.
maybe that is, but what is your purpose?
Mhm.
Um, and then second, that he put on his list, which I agree, I do agree, passion and purpose definitely drive a lot for me with everything that I get up and do, and that really just like energize me. And then your fuel, how you are fueling your body, and movement. So making it a purpose, like your daily pattern, to be very mindful of your food, and then mindful of your movement. And so, even in the mornings when I head to the gym, he's in the gym. His wife, Anna Maria, they're working out,
Yeah.
and they're like 70 some years old.
Mhm.
You would look at this man and you would have no clue he's 73, going to be 74, something like that. No clue. Um, it's just amazing, but it's the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, even if you're not throwing up heavy weights or whatever, are you at least walking? Are you, doing some kind of strength training? Like, move your body.
Yeah.
Um, and then with that also is mindfulness. How do you settle your mind? And then that which went into like your God time or your faith. So he put in like God stuff.
Mhm.
And that is not saying, that you are Buddhist, that you are Muslim, that you're a Christian, that you are anything, but faith in something greater than yourself is really important for us to be able to really, if you've got a health condition going on, to really heal. And if you don't have a health condition going on, for you to just be solid, like mentally and emotionally, as well as physically. So just looking at things really holistically. And so I really appreciate that they don't shy away from some of the things that people might be a little bit like a little taboo about. It's not to be shied away from here, whether it's the
I'm all
physical,
about that. Yeah.
the physical things with the colonics.
Yeah.
If you're on the 3-week program, you got a colonic schedule. And I know, like, that, sorry, audience, is probably TMI for most people, but it is so important, to make sure that, like, your colon is cleansed out and that your microbiome is given, like, the best environment possible for you to be able to thrive.
Yeah.
So
So
I
good.
just think, yeah, so much of the information that we've been learning here, like, yeah, these a lot of these things are very rudimentary or fundamental, but how many of us really live like that?
Well, I think
Like,
it's
really,
great if you're at this state of the art place, like, as a son of Eve in Baja, two
yeah,
sides of our country, or where we're at, and they're teaching these, these places. No one is doing the things that they're doing. I mean, not in our country. They're
mm-mm,
doing them in other countries, but I mean, these are incredible modalities, and yet they're emphasizing the same things that little old us, and that we actually do know, and it's pretty basic. I mean, you don't
right,
have to go to Hippocrates, you don't have to go to Son of Eve to make a
mm-mm,
difference in your outcomes and how you feel every day. People get used
right,
like, I feel like people get used to feeling crappy, and oh, because I'm this age, then this is pretty normal for me to feel this way. But I feel like I said this to Todd the other day. I was like, just as a reminder, this is we don't it's not like we're can't wait around. And actually, it doesn't really matter how old you are. I talk a lot to our younger set of kids. It matters what you do now. It absolutely matters what you do now. 70% is your lifestyle of how you're going to end up. If you're going to get degenerative disease, you have 70%, if not more, of control in that outcome. Less than 30
right.
is your genetics. And I think most people know that. But like,
And and really, it's even so, the statistics actually show that genetics only play about a 5% role in your health outcomes. And epigenetics, which is all those things that are not, part of your genetics,
yes.
um, that's 95%.
Yes. Let's
And
let's talk about epigenetics really quick, because we
mhm,
have a new baby coming in our family. I'm not going to say who, but we're very
yes,
excited about it. And epigenetics, when we were talking about epigenetics, I don't even know, 10 years ago, and it's so fascinating to me. But just epigenetics just means that you can actually change your cellular makeup, your DNA.
yeah,
So, like, for speaking to women, like, if you're planning to have a family someday, for instance, it matters what you're eating right now. It matters. Your stress level matters right now, and your
all
partner
of that.
absolutely matters to
Hmm.
the wellness of your child their whole life. So
Right.
we really do have so much to say about it. And I would say for me, the thing that I've learned, and we hear it all the time, and is about sugar. Um, Sugar just being such a thing that is in so many things, but it's a game changer in how we feel, with our gut health. Obviously, our gut health and our gut and our mind are connected. So if there was one thing for me that I would share as a prevention educator and wellness coach, it would be that. It would be all of it matters, right? I mean, and there's so many little components, but I say the first place to start is sugar. Just start taking sugar out of your diet as much as
Right.
possible, replacing it with something else.
Yeah.
It's TJ said that, actually, going back to TJ, the heart surgeon PA, he says, he opens up these patients every day, and he's just like, oh my gosh. And so he's always talking about cut back on your sugar, tell dad to cut back on his sugar, which is really nice for me because these are the things that I told them their whole life growing up. So it is nice to see that it's catching on a little bit. But
Yes.
yeah, it would be sugar for me, like to talk about that. What about you?
Sugar and processed foods,
Yes. Yeah.
all the processing of foods, and when you just see like all the pesticides and things that are sprayed, it's just, if possible, if you can swing organic, try. If you can't, there are, just some, you know, really good all natural, like fruit and vegetable cleaning products, that you can try and clean as much of the things that are on the surface of your produce off.
You should
And
see some of the things that you've been learning about that. And we need to link that in the description for this podcast if there's anything we want to share with the audience. We can share about Hippocrates and any of those cleaning fruit and vegetable cleaning tools that you're talking about, because I know that Hippocrates has been great about sharing some of those things too.
yeah, and then the other thing is, like if you have even a small space where you can grow some of your own things. So like from coming from here, um, sprouts are so nutritious. They're super nutritious, and it does not take very much room or effort to grow them. Like literally, you can grow them in your closet because
Yeah,
that's kind of how they grow,
like
in a
broccoli
jar.
plants and stuff.
Yeah. So, and even just picking out like what are like the big hitters that are going to give
Yeah.
you a lot of nutrients.
Mhm.
And so sprouts, and I probably will grow 5 different types of sprouts to begin with, and then also wheatgrass. So understanding, the nutrition, the health benefits of wheatgrass. So here, every day, everyone is supposed to have at least two 2-ounce servings of wheatgrass juice, throughout the day. And then we also do green juices. But when I looked more and more into wheatgrass, and I think about like with myself being very anemic in the past, that is actually shown to be a blood builder, and it works like really, really, powerfully for anemia.
Yeah.
So,
Really interested in growing wheatgrass. So I'm excited to have
oh,
you come
that's awesome.
and talk about it. Yeah, I'm really interested in that. And
Yeah.
what would you do? Like, what's an easy way to, so let's tell the audience, like, how would you apply that? Like, how would you eat it,
Yeah.
consume it?
Yeah. So basically, you can just juice it
Yeah.
and just drink, the juice of it. And I mean, for the wheatgrass, it grows within 7 days. You've
Mm.
got from you plant it to 7 days later, you've got wheatgrass. But there's just some trays that you grow it in, and you grow it indoors, so you can grow it all throughout the year.
Do you have
So
to
it's,
juice it? Do you have to juice it? Because juicers can be expensive. We're going down a whole nother bunny hole.
juicers can be expensive, and you don't have to. I mean, you can chop it up and eat it.
Okay. You
Yeah.
can put it in a shake. You could like put it in
Oh
your
yeah, for
water.
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
All of
I'm
that.
very excited about wheatgrass. Greens, I'm loving that. We can talk about that. We should probably have a whole thing where maybe you can talk about some of the modalities or some of the things specifically with things to grow. That would be a really good episode, I
It's
think.
so funny because like just like a few, like not far down from where I'm at, they're doing, how to grow, different things. So they're doing like a little class on that right now.
Oh,
Um,
so good. And you're like a
so
master gardener, so you'd be great to lead that episode. Just, I'm so scared of it. I tried it so many times well, not so many times to be fair, but it was just overwhelming to me. I thought I could do it. I should have been able to do it with 7 kids to make them get out there and weed stuff. But I'm really determined to have a really nice garden. But the point is, it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
it does not have to be overwhelming at all. Like
Mhm.
all this stuff that I'm even talking about, you can grow in your house. And literally, like I said, sprouts, I started sprouting before I came here. And I was like, oh, you just like put them in the closet and then you put them in the sunshine to get the chlorophyll at the end. Like
We're gonna
it's
do that when you get home. We're gonna grow some
yeah.
sprouts. I'm super excited. I don't want to end this on a bummer note, but I do want to give an alert. Um, so another story. So this morning, having this be about prevention education, and we are not talking to the just the 50-year-olds and the 57-year-olds. We're talking to the 20-year-olds. We're talking to parents who have young kids, and like here's why. So being in this, and I want to back up and say, I hope that when I said something about not relying on doctors and hospitals to, take care of you. I surely wasn't meaning to throw anyone under the bus. We have excellent, so many great doctors, but the truth is, honestly, they are there. Even my own kids in the medical field will tell you, they're there to treat that disease. They're not there to help you figure out like how not to get it. And they have less than 6 weeks, far less than 6 weeks of classes on nutrition. So they do their job, and their job is not prevention. And it is, sometimes, and they have a lot of restrictions on what they can say and not say to us. So I certainly didn't mean to throw anybody under the bus. But with my work in aging services, and so I work with nurse leaders. We're coaching nurse leaders. I'm talking to people in that field all the time. And this morning I talked to get. I'm always trying to get new perspective from different positions in aging services. And this morning I got to talk to a woman who is in research and development in real estate in aging services. And so that was super fascinating. But where we connected was what I learned is, and I already knew, but to tell our audience that this demographic of aging, those of us that are aging, from 50, and well, the baby boomers, which is, I'm not quite, I'm almost a baby boomer, but it is growing so fast. And I'm here to tell you, and she confirmed it for me, we do not have the help to take care of it. We absolutely do not have. We're working on it. Like, I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it really hard to keep the nurses and the wonderful providers that we have by bringing them value and valuing them and teaching the skills that they need to be able to do the incredible hard work that they do. But we do not have help. There's not enough.
Right.
That's
There's
country.
not enough. And then we were talking about this in one of the lectures last week, where you also had a period where not enough babies are being born.
Mm.
And so, there aren't enough people to actually replace or really be the help that's needed for this huge baby boomer population.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that on top of it.
Yeah.
One thing that is kind of like off the subject, but back onto the subject, like when we talk about prevention, two things that I wanted to mention that I thought were absolutely, absolutely fascinating here. One was when I first got here, they do a typical blood work screening, which, that was, and I say typical, but it's more than typical because they look at a lot of things there. But then they also basically have you put your fingers, like one finger at a time, like a fingerprint, into this imaging thing. And based on the heat or whatever, the energy from your fingers, they can tell you all these things that are going on within your body.
So cool.
And it was so spot on. And it wasn't even just like, this is like how like the heart function is, and this is how, whatever the organs in your body, but it also noted that I was tired.
Wow.
I had been traveling the day before. I had not slept much. It noted based on brain activity that I was tired. It like the energy fields around your body. It was just absolutely incredible what they could tell from that. And then the second thing is there is basically right next door to the main facility here is a place that does testing, like body testing. And they have a thermography machine that it blew my mind, where they can actually, and it's been proven and studied, they can actually detect like cancer cells in a person's body 7 years before a tumor forms.
Wow.
So if you can start to detect this 7 years early, it means that you can prevent it
Yeah.
quite easily from actually happening.
Yeah.
But it was just absolutely amazing that there's technology here that you can have your body scan and they can tell you if there's something going on or if there's something that's kind of brewing in the background that may not manifest for, you know, three,
Yeah.
5, 7 years.
Yep.
So
That's so fascinating.
fascinating, absolutely
Yeah,
fascinating.
thank you for sharing that. That is fascinating. And, that's we said that too in teaching that, cancer isn't can be in there and it won't show up for 10 years and it's brewing its way there. So all of the things that we're talking about are just, reminding ourselves, reminding our audience to really love yourself enough and know that you're worthy of having health. And it doesn't have to be this massive overhaul. Some people do need a massive overhaul, but if we can keep ourselves from getting to that point, and back to the nursing home situation or the aging services, really that they're like another meeting that I had this morning was with a nurse in Alaska, and she represents everyone. I mean, I'm talking to these facilities or organizations all across the country, but there just isn't any place for anyone to go. So the hospitals are finding closets. I mean, this is like COVID shit. I'm not kidding. And people don't know, and I've said that for months and months and months now, that we need to be letting the public know. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity that, guys, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to do a better job. It's a bit scary. It's a bit scary. And, just like we were saying earlier, that I really do in my own life, I know that God has been like, nudge, 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 nudge. Hey, pay attention. Hey, is this what you want to do? Hey, how do you feel? Cool. You can do whatever you want, but how you feeling today, or whatever.
Right.
Until finally he's just like, okay, nope, you're going to be out. And however that shows up with a pulled muscle or whatever. I'm not saying God is like striking me with lightning, but I really
Yeah.
do think that's how it happens. Hey, Daniel, will you get me the charger for this really quick? Cause it's going to die. Hi. My computer's gonna die.
Hi.
So just a reminder that now is the time. I say to Todd that we're in the third quarter of our life. He's like, we're in the fourth quarter. I'm like, no, we're not. We're in the third quarter of our life.
In the third quarter. What?
I'm
Hey,
living to 100, so I'm in the third quarter, okay?
you
So
are
I
early in the
want
third
to,
quarter.
yeah. Well, and you're barely there. And I want to live out the rest of my life feeling well. I want to be able to experience the best parts of my life. For these kids that are 19, like this one here, I want to be around for, his babies if he has them someday, or just
Yeah.
amazingness. Anyway, so yeah, we want to be
Yeah,
able
we
to,
get bags. Everybody gets a bag when they get here, and it's got incredible information. But the bag says, "Health is your birthright."
yes,
Right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I love that.
And I want to part with this last thing. Is there's so many studies, but there's one of the longest studies that was it Harvard or Stanford? I can't remember. Well, but one of the biggies, one of the longest studies ever done, was done around kindness.
Mm.
I don't quote me because it was around kindness or it was around love. And it was, and you guys, so many people have heard about the different kinds of studies they've done, but Dwayne Dyer, or Wayne Dyer, Wayne Dyer,
Green
Wayne
dye.
Dyer. Thank you. I always get it.
Yeah,
Let's do that one instead. Because I was just watching that. He was talking about the serotonin levels of when if I'm kind to you, my serotonin levels jack up.
yeah,
Your serotonin levels also jack up when I'm kind to you. But what's cool is anyone in the same room that witnesses me being kind to you, their serotonin is your happy hormone.
it's
Their
the happy hormone,
serotonin jacks up. How cool is that?
right?
Yes, we're talking about nutrition and we're talking about sleep and we're talking about moving your body. Really, it's all about being kind to
It is,
body that I've been given,
right?
worthy of health and all the things. So I thought that was the coolest thing.
I
To hear.
agree.
I love those kind of things. But all right, so we'll close, but we're really excited, right, about more of
We
this
are.
information, like our guests coming. It really aligns with our belief that everything is relationships. When we're talking about here about our health, that's our relationship with ourselves. And having these guests on to be able to talk about these things. This is our physical health when we refer to it, when our pies, our physical health. When our body is feeling well and at its optimum, then our intelligence, our ability to tap into our experience of learning, that's our mind gets clear, brain fog goes away. Emotional, I mean, when our body's feeling good, our serotonin levels are really nice and even. We don't
Right.
have the deep drops and the highs. We stay nice and even and at peace. And then our spiritual relationship, that is something that is pretty cool when you know that you're in tune with how we are tended to live
Yeah,
and the love that we are intended to receive, but to give to our bodies and to one another. It all just sort of comes together. And it's so cool that you're experiencing that
for
really in
sure.
this sort of bubble right now, right? Like,
I'm in a bubble. I'm
yeah,
in an absolute bubble.
yeah. But when
Yeah.
we come back, we're going to
And
talk.
I don't even want to, I don't even want to burst out of the bubble,
I know, I know,
but I know I have to. I know I have to. So
and it's going to be
I
good.
do miss I miss everybody.
I know everybody's missing you too, but okay. Love you. We'll
I
see you
love you
in about a
too.
week. So thank you
Yeah.
everyone for being with us. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, share if you think this will be valued to other people, and we will see you next week.
All
Thanks.
right. Bye bye.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in to Sister Friends. We hope these conversations help you see things from a new angle, feel a little more connected, and maybe even laugh along the way.
Remember, whether it's family, work, or those elephants in the room we all deal with, everything really is about relationships.
If you enjoyed this episode, let us know. Share your thoughts, share this podcast with a friend, and let's keep building those connections.
Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and let's keep growing
Together.
together.